Hello, you was just watching me playing various Nintendo 64 games. Now, the Nintendo 64 was a video games machine released in 1996, and its rivals were the Sega Saturn and Sony's PlayStation. The Nintendo 64, which I have here, was quite revolutionary for its time. This version is a cherry red translucent with matching controller. They did various different colours N64, even a special edition Pikachu N64. Anyway, as I was saying, the N64 was quite revolutionary. The controller as standard had an analog stick. Sony's PlayStation didn't originally. They released a controller with the analog stick, but it wasn't there originally, and the same with the Saturn. Sega later released a controller with an analog stick on. However, unfortunately, a common problem with the N64 controllers is that the analog stick goes. It kind of gets really loose, which is annoying. Some people didn't like the controller, how you could hold it. Other people liked it. It was designed that you could hold it in several different ways depending on the type of game. For me, the most annoying thing was the Z button at the bottom. It easily got knocked and you ended up setting off a rocket launcher or something and blowing yourself up half the time. Anyway, back to the N64 itself. 4 control ports, quite unusual considering the PlayStation and Saturn could only have more than 2 player through a multi-tap add-on. Obviously, cartridge slot at the top. Expansion port at the back, which I do believe was used for the 64DD. A disc add-on, which unfortunately was a flop. Very unfortunate, because games like The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and others were going to make use of the 64DD. In fact, there is stuff left in Ocarina of Time that references the 64DD. At the back is an empty slot where I've taken the power supply out. That was quite clever of Nintendo doing that. And also standard AV socket. The lead that goes into that works on the SNES, Nintendo 64 and GameCube, despite Nintendo saying otherwise. You can get composite and S-Video through there, not RGB on some models, apparently. Well, the story of the Nintendo 64 was that Silicon Graphics and MIPS, yes, you might recognise MIPS technology, were working on a real-time 3D system. Here's where it gets interesting. They actually offered it to Sega of America. Yes, effectively, Sega were offered the Nintendo 64. Well, it wasn't really a Nintendo 64 then, but you get the idea. Anyway, it had some problems, so they fixed them, but Sega weren't interested, and so it was given to, well, Nintendo showed interest in it, and it eventually became the Nintendo 64. But before that, it was known as Project Reality because they thought at the time it was capable of photorealistic graphics in the game. Of course, only recent games have been able to produce photorealistic graphics, or near enough. It also had the name Ultra 64, Nintendo Ultra 64. I think that was in America, but Nintendo decided to call it Nintendo 64 in all countries. In fact, I remember seeing Cruising USA claims the version in the arcade that is running on Ultra 64 hardware. But the Nintendo Ultra 64 remains today. I don't know if you'll probably won't be able to see this, but yeah, it looks a bit blurred. But at the bottom is a code that says NUS and then some other characters. NUS apparently stands for Nintendo Ultra 64, so there we go, it lives on. So let's look at, there's Super Mario 64, top selling, quite groundbreaking game, showed that Mario worked in 3D from his transition from 2D. What other games? Oh yes, Japanese version of Super Mario 64 I was fortunate to be able to get. That's the original Japanese version, as they later did the second improved version with rumble pack support. That's a bit too expensive to buy. That's the box that Super Mario 64 would normally be in. Another great game, Rayman 2, only bettered by the Dreamcast version that has better graphics and more mini games and stuff. Perhaps not so widely well-known game, Jet Force Gemini, a good sort of third-person shoot 'em up by the excellent Rareware. Sort of a extension of Diddy Kong Racing, that game. Accessories. Yes, a unique thing about the N64. Whoops, I just dropped something. A unique thing about the controller for the N64 was that you could plug accessories into the back. That was also done on consoles such as the Xbox and the Dreamcast. So you could plug in a rumble pack, for example, or you could plug in a memory pack, sort of a memory card that games could save on, such as Mario Kart 3 at times, etc. Oh no, I can't put them both in at the same time. Fortunately, some companies integrated the memory card into a rumble pack and you could switch between them. Other accessories are Explorer 64 cheat code cartridge, Passport for playing imported games, also has cheat facilities, Action Repay. Oh, there we go. And Equalizer. Of course, I have to mention them as I'm quite famous for doing codes for the N64. I started off with Explorer 64, just playing around with the codes, and from that I learned how to make my own codes and moved on to Equalizer, which was much more advanced. So there you have the Nintendo 64. Thanks for watching, and bye for now. Bye.